Welcome to Call Your Hits, a Storm Riders Foreign Legion podcast.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. As you saw in the intro, my guests today are Jordan, Matt, and Dan. Three of the people who attended Matt's Get Smoked North California Airsoft Tour just this past weekend at time of recording. It was 3 days of intense airsoft, but also probably even more than that, 3 days of really cool camaraderie between airsoft players from all around the U.S., coming together to be the Storm Riders Foreign Legion in NorCal. So, guys, thank you so much for being here with me.
Oh, dude,
I can't wait to
having us.
I can't wait to get into like the whole experience. And from my understanding, as we were talking about this in the lead up and stuff, it really all starts with Matt picking you up at the airport, right? Like, Matt, that's the start of the event for you. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? Like, what was that like?
The first thing I did, like the first night, Zip found the best flight in. Happened to be landing at late 11 o'clock at Tuesday. So that he rode the BART into Antioch, and I picked him up at about 1 a.m. And we rode home and shot the shit for a while, and he took a lot of pictures of the landscape, and we talked about how pretty it was, and then we both slept for a while. And then the next day, Jordan came in. I was picking him up at BART, and that was about, what, noon? 1 o'clock?
Yeah, like I'd say like 1 o'clock-ish was when I got picked up. Just after 12.
So I made that trip out to Antioch again, and Zip took some more pictures because now it was sunny out and you could see everything. You could see the mountains and the valleys, the rivers. And he was like, man, this is so cool. Matt, you're the best. I think you're so handsome and talented. And Zip said all these things, I promise.
Yeah, I'm sure he did, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we got there and we picked up Jordan, and that was great, right? Like, we kicked on the playlist and we sang our hearts out, and we got headed into town for Airsoft.
Dan, when did you show up? Were you there on the Thursday?
So I flew in on Wednesday night, and I got in at like 11:30. I think everyone was already asleep, and I was like, oh, do I want to call Matt and make him drive out? So no, I just slept in the airport. In the morning, I took the BART in, got picked up from Antioch, same deal. Sleeping in actually, San Francisco is really sleepable airport. They have like the full length benches that are like padded benches that you can sleep on, which is a big change from Iron Horse. At Atlanta, the benches were like sectioned off, so you couldn't sleep on them because they hate us and they don't like us to be comfortable.
Yeah, no, that was anti-airsoft architecture.
That was actually pretty pleasant, like sleeping environment. I got probably 6 hours between the flight and the airport.
Awesome.
Yeah, and this is like the longest flight for me as well. Like it was like a 6-hour flight from Boston to Cali, and it was the longest flight that I'd ever been on. I've never been off the East Coast, so it was weird landing, and it was actually noontime, my time, but it was 9 a.m. At the airport. I was like traveling back in time. It was really strange. I feel like red eyes and like early mornings are probably the best when you're like changing time zones, so you can sleep away most of the jet lag.
Yeah, really. And I mean, the weather must have been much nicer for you coming into California compared to leaving the East Coast as well, right?
Oh, yeah. I think when we left it was like raining in the 40s.
Yeah, it was not.
Yeah.
Wasn't in Logan.
Raining in the 40s. And when we landed, it was like high 60s and sunny and breezy.
Well,
very,
it was,
very
it was
nice.
overcast when I landed.
It was overcast.
It opened up later in the day. And it was,
yeah.
so bad.
The weather here is, at least the first couple of days, very mild. Like it seemed like it was like high 60s,
It wasn't
maybe
warm.
low 70s, and then like the days that we started playing, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it was like, hey, we're gonna start making it a bit hot for you guys. And then yesterday it was like the hottest day. That Sunday, the last day we played, was like the hottest day, and it was at a field with like no shade at all. Like, just every time you're on the field, you're just getting blasted by the sun, and walking back to spawn, you're getting blasted by the sun. It was tough, man. It wasn't like Iron Horse tough, but it was like it was pretty tough.
Well, that was special. And for our listeners and viewers who don't do freedom units, 60 or 70 is like 15 to 20 degrees Celsius. Just so we're on the same page here. So still not super hot, but if you're coming from the East Coast, like where we live, in the wintertime or in the early spring, where currently it's, anywhere from 0 to 5 degrees Celsius. That's a pretty big shift.
Yeah. I think Saturday and Sunday it was in the like high 80s all day, which I'm not sure what that would be in Celsius. But I think
It felt
That's
like it was hot.
it's,
very
yeah, it's
warm.
like 25 plus, right? So it's
It
still
was
not
hot.
it's still not the like 30 or 38 or 40 degrees we had at Iron Horse, but still
it's
quite
right
hot. Yeah, yeah.
But it wasn't it wasn't very humid.
No.
Like for the
Mhm.
most part, it was pretty dry here compared to when we were in Iron Horse, and it was like 90 with like 100% humidity, and it felt like you were walking through water outside.
Mhm.
Not ideal, but it was pretty nice overall. Enjoyable, very enjoyable.
I swear to God, George.
Not again, not again.
So you had the three of you, and then you had Colin, Jason, Joe, and Jacob as well, all
Yeah.
from the Discord. And so the 7 of you were there for all 3 days. Is that right?
Yeah.
And so the whole name of the event, as we've talked about, was Get Smoked, and it was all about like doing 3 days of like intense airsoft back to back to actually smoke yourself physically, right? Hence why you're drinking your electrolytes right now and trying to recuperate from cramping and everything else. So how did the actual airsofting go on like the first, second, and third days? Like, what was it like? The first day you were at GamePod at EVIC, if I am not mistaken, right?
You are correct, and they have some silly rules that don't make sense. But despite that, we had a really good vibe that night. We went out with the guys I play with locally a lot, Fatal Prescription. I learned that Dan is in fact a speed machine and loves running a HPA tap pistol.
That was the one.
All right.
Dan's actually a speed softer. He just hasn't played speed soft yet.
Yeah, I felt bad pulling up. I thought like it was an indoor field. I was like, surely there's gonna be the speed softers with the dye mask. You're gonna roll me up. But I was the speed softer rolling up the rentals, and I felt a little bit bad about it.
Yeah, he was the
I
rental.
felt a little bit bad about it.
Yeah.
Like,
The rental reaper is what he was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was real. We had just the right amount of people at GamePod that day. Aside from the fact that their rules are a little silly, it was good. We had good fighting in there. They don't allow grenades in the streets, which would have been nice, but whatever. That's life.
Mhm.
But having these guys on my back provided me like a whole different deal because specifically Jordan, Jason, and Jacob were all running gas, and they all had them tuned to the very nines, so that they could make longer shots and make each one of their 30 piddly rounds count, right?
Mhm.
So plus they had the range that you want from a longer range gun, but these are guys who are airsoft players and actually get up and use that range. So I would actually get up and touch the line of advance and like look at the pretend enemies, right? Be like, hey guys, how's it going? Haha, you can't shoot me because if you stick your head out, one of these cats is gonna blow yours off.
Yeah.
And then like go back to the objective and hold it, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and like, what about like for Jason, for you, like,
Yep.
what was that like? Compare, because I know that you were rocking like an FAL, right? Like a full length like gas blowback situation. What was that like in CQB?
Tough. Coming into this event, I had no idea how it was going to go down. I had tried at home to do the little LARPy room clearing to even figure out how you maneuver this thing. It won't fit sideways through a doorway. So before we left, I talked to Jordan and I was like, show me how this is sort of done. So that immediately helped a lot to figure out the kind of footworks to be able to short stock and not trip over your own feet and all. Ultimately, man, it was a workout. You're lugging a freaking boat anchor around trying to go through these rooms, and keeping up was really hard. But it was an absolute blast. I mean, it was the most fun I've had playing in ages. What was particularly funny was I was trying to hold a piece of cover, and Dan was doing his speedy boy stuff. He's like, "Oh, cover me while I run up." I shoot, and it stops as if it was empty, but no, it's like the carry handle, or sorry, the charging handle was frigged up. It won't move. And anyway, my gun completely malfunctioned. A piece of steel has come out the bottom of the mag well, and it's like, This is not how the second game of the first night of the weekend is supposed to go.
Yeah.
By an absolute miracle, Jacob happened to also be running the exact same gas VFC FAL. He had the FAL multi tool from VFC that I lost the second I opened the box for mine. But yeah, we took it out to the spawn zone and did some minor surgery, got the headlamps and flashlights out, and he had me up and running. And that was cool.
That's
but it was crazy happenstance. Like when
I was gonna say that's very coincidental,
like,
but like
I was trying to pull on the charging handle, and I'm like, if I yeet this back hard enough, maybe I'll fix it, or maybe I will piss away like $980 Canadian right here, right now.
on the plus side, you were at EVIC,
let's wait
right?
it out and talk. Let's wait it out and see if Jacob has seen this one before. Yeah.
On the plus side, you're at EVIC, right? So if you need anything, I suppose you can just pick up whatever you need. Like for a lot of people, I think it's like the mecca of Airsoft. I don't know, Jordan, that was your first time out there, right? Dan, probably yours as well, right?
This was a superstore, so it wasn't the main EVIC location. It's kind of like, imagine it like just like a sides, like a satellite location. Like they have supplies there, but it's not like the main EVIC superstore. It's just a smaller selection of things, but still huge in comparison to most airsoft shops. But yeah, no, that was really cool too. I know Zippy ended up getting a different speed loader while we were there. He got the Autobot automatic speed loader. I think Matt has one of those as well. They had like a bunch of cool stuff. They had some real gear. They had a bunch of repro stuff, like all of the guns that you could think of, different LMGs, different gas blowbacks, like a lot of cool stuff. But like we weren't there for that. We were there for Game Pod, which was fun, and it was an interesting indoor field. It was the biggest indoor field I had ever been to, and it had the longest sight lines of the indoor fields that I've ever been to. It was very cool, very flat. There was a lot of rooms that didn't make sense to me and seemed kind of very camper friendly.
Yeah.
Like you'd go into a room that would be in the corner of like a U shape, and there would be no windows and like one door. So it's like
one doorway.
So what am I supposed to do in here? Like I'm just supposed to go in and then camp.
Correct.
Doorway.
Yeah, you had asked Phil how I felt about room clearing, and yeah, there were parts where I was doing legit room clearing. There were also parts where I walked into something that was just like four walls with an opening, as if the same way you'd lay out a shed or a garage.
There was no windows.
Campers.
That's crazy.
That's what it was. All they had to do was cut some windows like in the other side, and then you'd have an actual viewpoint. But it was like a windowless supply shed.
Overall, it felt sort of like a hyper compressed Guardian Center to me, and that you've got pretty long laneways, whatever you call them, right? Laneways in between.
Yeah, you're not wrong, actually.
I can see that. Yeah, it's like a miniature. It's like a play-sized version of Guardians.
There was a lot.
It's like Fisher Price Guardians. That's really diminutive.
No,
it's just slight.
So like they had like a broken down bus in the center. It was a bus, I believe, or an ambulance, something like that. Broken down vehicles. I think what was it called? The gas station.
With like gas pumps,
gas pumps and stuff.
Oh wow,
it was cool. Like it was really cool. I think we had just enough people there where it was still fun. I think if we had a bunch more people, it would have turned into you can't move because every time you kill a player holding an angle, there's somebody else there to take a spot.
It would have been a rush fest.
Those long sight lines too, right? You could get some pretty cross map shots going.
Yeah, but it was a cool location. Running on concrete the entire time because it was just a gigantic warehouse.
The shin splints kicked in fast.
Did they use any tech at this for like managing the game, like skirmish or Ares Alpha or anything like that?
Very gentle, soft refs.
Yeah, that was a problem. I don't want to go too far into it.
I mean, I liked it. I didn't have any issues with cheaters or anything like that the whole time.
Yeah.
A lot of these cats are rocking knee pads and just kind of like dolphin diving, whatever, running around. I like Jordan said, there weren't a ton of players. It wasn't crowded. You could still flank and roll them up. I wouldn't even say like Jason mentioned room clearing. I wasn't even room clearing. For me, it was just like if I hear someone shooting in that building, I'm just gonna pre-fire the window. There's no point like trying to run in and blast somebody. There were a lot of buildings had one doorway, but they have multiple windows. So to get in the building, you'd have to vault through the window. And if you vault through a window, like that's loud, they can hear you. I get like you just get shot.
Yeah.
So it was kind of difficult, but
talking about like tech to manage the game. No, like you guys said, no Ares Alpha or anything. But I did appreciate in their like not spawn, but their safe zone briefing area. They had like a flat screen TV up, and as they were describing game rules, like they had a little PowerPoint clicker for written rules and kind of like simplified diagram of the game map. That was a huge help for me. Would have been an even bigger help if I hadn't mixed up my contact lenses. Like my eye prescription's different in my two. Yeah.
But
So
you know
TV
what? Like Jason, I feel like that's only fair. It's they have to do that to you to keep your power level in check, right? That's the only way to keep it fair for everybody else is to mess with your vision. Because otherwise, you'd be like Dan running up on rentals all day long. Like we can't have that. It's too powerful.
But legit, I thought that was great because I'm so used to refs mumbling some rules. No one hears any of it. Round starts. No one knows what the hell's going on. To have a PowerPoint, read the text for people like me who is one in one ear out the other type thing. To have the game map up, that was really smart of them. I appreciated that a lot.
So that was your first day at GamePod. Is there anything like of the games? Like, did you have what was a golden moment for you guys at GamePod of like the actual gameplay portion?
Sorry, I just noticed Jason was getting a little bit out.
It's because he's sitting forward. Yeah.
So I'll say that question again. So that was your first day at GamePod. Just thinking about that, like thinking about the gameplay specifically, like what was your golden moment that really stands out from gameplay wise at GamePod?
I think it was for me. It was having all of us up in like aggressive positions. We regularly would come out of spawn, and there'd be rentals or newer players or just people in general that were afraid to push forward. But every single time I looked, it was like me, Dan, Matt, Zippy, like all of us were all up there. Jacob was up there too. Joe was out there. We were always like up in a forward position, actually doing things.
Yeah, like someone Bear cut the left flank.
Yeah, entirely. Yeah. I forgot Bear was out there with us too. And like anytime there was an objective, like sure thing, I was seeing Matt's stupid straw hat like sticking up in the middle of like the bus in the center of the field. Like I'd see it just like floating around like between buildings. Like I know where he is right now, and then I'd see him running across, one handing a gun, like frolicking across like a gap while he's dodging all of these shots. It was really cool to see your friends do things like Matt said. Like a lot of the experience was he wanted to show us his fields, the ones that he's played at, that he's been comfortable playing. And I really got to see like how Matt plays in his home area. Like I got to see what he does when he's in his zone, so to speak. But it was awesome because all of us are confident airsoft players, and we didn't let things stop us from moving forward. We always found a way to go up, and most of the time, like we'd look over our shoulder, and it would be our guys there with us on any given spot in the map.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I at one point, I did a dolphin dive behind this like Jersey barrier. Here's a wooden barricade, but it was like just kind of like lay there for a few minutes. It was just like sniping dudes with the AAP because nobody looks down, and nobody looks down, so they're just like trying to like run across, and I'm just like lying there sniping them. That was pretty wicked. I don't know.
What about you, Matt?
Oh, I don't know. Like the whole night went pretty well for me there. We had a lot of fun. I had a moment where we started off a round and I went to take off, and Dan was already like the second round. Dan's like taking off ahead of me, and I'm like, okay, we have created an airsofter who loves this sort of game now.
Yeah.
And he was off like And then I see him, like he says, he saw my hat floating across the field. I would occasionally see my own gun just pop up in a window and blast somebody, and then go floating off somewhere else because I loaned Dan my pistol, right? And it was just like whoop pop, whoop pop, and I would see it in the distance, like, hey, look, there goes Dan. So that was pretty cool for me, like watching him embrace the style and really get into it.
I was curious about that to hear from you guys, like what who would be able to like keep up with Matt's crazy antics and shenanigans of running around, right? And yeah, Dan.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Well, yeah, I mean, us like, I played with Matt once at Iron Horse, and Iron Horse is kind of a different game, but like
Yeah.
I'll say this, like after watching him for a couple days, like Matt has like the casual, like I want to have fun and blast people and get the objective kind of play style, kind of walk out from spawn, shoot at some dudes, run across, whatever. I'm not competitive. I don't speed soft, but like I get really into it, and so I just get going. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to hype myself up because I'm not like a good player, but like I just like to push hard. So.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point of, I think, for a lot of like us talking about this and just starting this community in the first place. Like, I don't care if people are good. I just want them to try as hard as they can, right? And at the end of the day, whether you win or lose, like, who cares? But if you're having fun and you're pushing hard and you're having a good time, that matters more than any of the rest of it, right? Like, what else is there? So, so that was GamePod. Oh, Zip, I forgot to ask you, what's your golden moment from GamePod?
Similar to, I'll give you 1.5 things. Quick to reiterate what Jordan said. Yeah, that was cool when you walked out of spawn. You kind of go past the initial wave of black hoodies in the back doing their rental stuff, which, no worries with that. But then you push up and it's like Foreign Legion patch, Foreign Legion patch, Foreign Legion patch are all the ones pushing the objective. That was frickin' mint. Gameplay wise, I think at one point there was like a van or a bus or something, and I was like, this will be a crazy angle if I can like grab onto the roof of the back of this van, balance my feet on like the back toe hitch, and like rest an FAL through the window of this van.
Oh my god.
And looking up like YouTube stuff on that tactical flat range stuff, they have all the like super shoot instances, whatever. It felt pretty cool to play that game of Twister in the moment of like, how do we mount onto the back of a busted up Chevy van and stick an FAL through the window and hold this without my shoulders just falling apart or snapping my ankle off this tow hitch. It felt good. It was weird, but it was good.
Definitely not OSHA compliant, but hey, I'm not telling you if you don't.
There was probably not even ref compliant.
So day 2, you were at CZ Paintball, right?
Yep.
And so this is more of an outdoor kind of situation compared to GamePod, right?
It's an outdoor field.
Yeah, entirely outdoor.
Yeah, it's completely outdoor field. I don't know how to describe it other than it had a good combination of built structures as well as natural cover. But we didn't get to use the whole field altogether.
Mm-hmm.
We had to play in sections of it at a time because we were sharing the field with some paintballers.
Two paintball parties.
Two individual paintball parties. And as you probably know, Phil, being a paintball player yourself at one point, paintball range does not necessarily work with airsoft guns.
No.
Yeah.
When you're playing on a paintball field with airsoft range.
And those were paintball refs.
Yes, and we had paintball refs. So the field itself, very cool. We did have some cool moments. We had some cool fights. Like, there were some really cool areas of the field, but because of the segmented way that they split the field, it turned into long breaks in between games and short 10-minute games.
Yeah, we played like 4 or 5 10-minute games, an entire like 5 or 6 hour day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, the pace was a little disappointing. Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say Jordan was being very generous towards the ref and towards the field. They basically just let the paintballers play all day.
It's true.
And then just rotated us off when they had a spare 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And the game modes are literally they would put the spawns 200 feet apart. Like you could shoot into each other's spawns and then just say capture the objective in the middle. It was very bad.
The first or the second game we played was quite literally a bowling alley
Yeah.
of like metal cover. It was like 50 feet wide and probably 200 feet long.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, capture the flag in the middle.
And there was ankle holes in all the covers, so you could just shoot through the ankle holes and shoot people in the ankles.
Yeah, it was like
At the same height. Like you could shoot through multiple pieces of cover and just shoot people in the ankles.
yeah,
It was not-
that was an interesting game.
something interesting.
There were still fun moments throughout the day for sure. One of the notable ones was one of the last games we played, that attack and defend, where we had to like attack this house that was on a hill, essentially, and it was like 3 or 4 people inside this building with 20 people, maybe a little less, like 15 people, like pushing the building. And as you can imagine, any window was not a safe window to aim out of because everybody's looking at the window. So it's kind of just like you're in a bee's nest. Like BB's hitting the walls behind you and hitting you in the back over and over again, wondering if you're getting ricocheted or if Dan somehow snaked his way up the back of the back of the fort,
Which he did.
somehow crawling at the speed of running and then getting into the window behind you and schwacking you with like 12 shots or something. That happened a few times, but it was still like a lot of fun. I took a shot to the nose that game. That was cool. Shout out not protecting your nose when you play Airsoft. It's so much fun. But yeah, no, the field itself was cool. If we could combine everything together and play with all of the zones together, it would have been really cool. But we didn't even get to touch some sections of the field. There was like deep water crossings. There was huge, like the water was up pretty high there. So like there was like some deep water sections, a lot of natural cover, some nice built up areas, but all of it was being used while we were trying to play. So it was a day. It was an Airsoft day.
It's the kind of day where like you're glad to be playing with people who you like and you can have a good time and hang out.
Like the first game.
Yeah. It was one of those days. It was Airsoft, I'd say. It was.
In my defense, I've never played open there before. I've only done events. And when they do events, they have the whole field. And you've got, 60, 70, 80 airsofters across this huge field. And every direction becomes a whole different thing. The way we were, it was like demo mode, right?
Yeah.
We got a third of the game. And we got smaller levels.
Yeah. That's the one where they do Yellow Rocks. Is that right?
Yeah, and Yellow Rocks was amazing. Like I had a great time out there. That was a full day event. Play from 9 until noon, and then from 1 until 5, and that was a whole thing. And we have some great videos that I can share with you. And I'm sure that you'll oblige me and put some links in the comments about that game. But because this unfortunately this was open play was not fantastic.
It wasn't
Fair
the worst Airsoft I've played.
It could have been worse.
It was down.
It was a beautiful field. The staff were at least friendly. It's not like the staff were, tool bags or anything.
And y'all had each other, right?
It was just slow, man. It reminded me of back home, of a certain field with questionable Google reviews where you get those. We at least had 10-minute games, but back home, it'll be like, well, it's only one life game, so it'll be like 2 minutes, then 40-minute smoke break. This was at least 10-minute games, so 5 times better than back home.
Zippy mentions the refs being friendly.
Yeah.
I think that's a bad thing sometimes too, and in this case it was.
Yeah.
The refs were friendly, yes, but there were specific players on the field that were causing problems.
They were friendly to teams.
They were friendly to they were friendly to their regulars, and since we weren't their regulars, very clearly, since we were from the East Coast or Canada, they treated us like almost like what we were saying wasn't like a real thing. So this specific situation was there was a guy that was causing some problems, and Matt was walking off the field and he got shot by me again. So I was like across the field, like kind of watching Matt walk, and also I was like mortaring shots at this guy that apparently weren't hitting him at all, even though I felt like they should have been. I don't know. Maybe he had like a suit of armor on or something. But anyways, Matt walked past him, and I saw him. What I saw was Matt walked past, and the guy quickly turned and aimed at Matt, and it looked like he shot him a few times, and then returned back to the game. And I'm like, that kind of looks like he just got like spite shotted or like rage shotted, like as he was walking off the field. That's really weird. So I didn't say anything.
I mean,
But then I saw that guy come over to the ref and start complaining about Matt.
he said he wanted Matt kicked off the field. He said, "Guy in the red shirt needs to get off this field."
He called him Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
Yeah.
And anyways, so I didn't.
Dead the whole time.
I didn't say anything yet because I was across the field watching it, but I didn't know what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, Matt walks up and I say, "Hey, did that guy turn and shoot you?" And he said yes, and I went, "Okay." I wanted to make sure, like, ref, that guy that just complained about Matt just like turned and rage shot him as he was walking off the field. Like, that's just
He's such a grumpy dude.
it's never an okay thing to do, right? Like, you're playing a sport that is a combat game where the weapons that you use can absolutely hurt people, right? In at least a painful way.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
your anger should never be taken out in a form of the game. Like, you should be talking about it. You should never use aggression in that way. And the ref essentially said, "Yeah, I'll talk to him about it."
I don't think he talked to him.
He didn't talk to him about it.
Talk to him
Because I went to the ref
They were
afterwards
regulars.
and I said, "Hey, did you talk to that guy?" And he said, "Yeah, he's one of our regulars. I'm going to be keeping a real close eye on him." And I said, "Did you talk to him about turning and shooting
a dead player
after
Multiple
he was
times
walking
on
off
purpose.
and calling him
and cursing him out?" Yeah.
And he said, "No, I didn't mention that. I'm just going to keep a real close eye on him." And at that point, I realized that you can't be. I mean, you know this, but the refs are too nice to the people that they know, and they're not holding them accountable.
Yeah, you can't be, and like you
Fair.
can't be conflict averse, right? If you're going to be a ref, like at the end of the day, it's not fun to have those conversations. And I've had a few conversations like that, and I've never enjoyed them. But that has to happen. Like, you have to give people the real deal and be like, "Listen, you can't do that, or we don't do that here, or whatever it is." So it's too bad that that experience really didn't work out for you guys as well as you wanted it to. But hopefully your third day sort of made up for that at APA, which, if I'm not mistaken, Matt, this is your favorite field ever, right?
Yeah, dude. I mean, this is my very favorite field. They opened. They weren't even going to be open for Easter this year, but they opened up for us to do this. And we
That's
had
awesome.
at APA. I felt like we had exactly the right number of players. We had an absolutely untouchable vibe. Everybody had a good time. Everybody seemed to be calling their hits. There was one single guy that was an issue that whole day, and the refs like talked to him at the first round and are like, "You need to shape up," and he just left. Because
That's great.
now that most of the refs at APA are not soft or gentle, they follow their rules and they uphold them. Like, I get called out as much as anybody else, mostly for overhand throwing with grenades, because that's a scar I've got really bad. But you know, they're good refs, and that we had a great day, and they prepped for us. And I went out with the manager and the assistant manager, and we walked the field before the game, and we put out 350, 400 Easter eggs. There were tons. All right, there were toys, there was candy, there was money, there was free games, there was coupons to a few different sponsors. So we put all that stuff out there, and we had everybody show up. And like, as we're in the ready area, there were a few eggs in there, right? So you can see people like popping out, like the containers, like, "Oh, there's one right here," and starting to get excited about it.
Excited about it?
Excited.
I'll see myself out.
So anyway, like I saw the energy getting better and better, and then like, you know, I knew these guys were coming. I went out ahead of everybody else, and my mom gave them a ride out to the field.
Shout out to Graham.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Graham.
MVP of the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Most valuable
we can
parent.
talk about the food and everything, and we'll get into that more when we get to the food section. But
Yeah.
but like, she drove all of them out to the field so I could go out and set up ahead of time. So I got on the field, opened my car up, set us up spaces in the shade, got our ready area ready. And then I saw people showing up, and they're like, "Dude, I've been waiting for you all day." Like, some dudes had showed up like early, and like they thought it was closed, and they were calling us and texting us and the managers of the field. And so there was like guys there when I showed up to unlock the gate.
Wow.
Like, even one of the refs had gotten antsy and went ahead of when we were supposed to be there and opened the gate and started letting people into to park. So that was great, right? So we went out, got everything ready, did my announcements. Thanks for coming to Get Smoked 2025. We appreciate it. Storm Riders Foreign Legion. Woo, here we are. And then we separated out, and my local team guys, Fatal Prescription, shout out to them. You know, I've talked about them before, but they came out to Friday and Sunday's game and made a good presence and showing. And those are some real players, right? So it ended up being how that game, the most of the day ended up running, was the Storm Riders Foreign Legion Fatal Prescription, and like 3 or 4 other players who had come to other days, all working together against everyone who had only showed up on Sunday. Right. So it ended up being like probably 30 players versus 50 when we got like counted all the tickets. The busiest part of the day was 80 people.
Wow.
And it was a very balanced game. It was the field was cut diagonally. One side was getting pushed super hard, the other side we were pushing super hard, and it was just going back and forth like that. Airsoft Challenge program came out. They ran a few rounds of Counter Strike, Sierra Tango, and we had a great time with that because like we don't normally run the single life games. So when I died, I could throw myself dramatically to the ground. Because I don't need to turn and go back to spawn. Like I could fall down and let the game proceed around me. That was great. The Easter egg hunt went great. We restocked eggs a few times throughout the day. We had the better prizes we saved. And I particularly added the best prizes in the harder points of the field to fight over. Places that I know that would like be visible deep in enemy territory, but as the enemy was coming out, they wouldn't see them themselves. So you could see next to the guy shooting at you an egg next to him and be like, I want to get that egg because he doesn't even know it's there. And I particularly made it so that the more valuable ones would be the ones that you had to fight up to fight harder to get to. And then with the raffle, I took a turn on raffle. Like a lot of raffles, they'll sell extra tickets throughout the day or whatever, like to recoup costs. But what I did is I don't like that because you'll have one guy who gamed with too much money who lucked into a good job or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then he's this many tickets. And what I did is I said, you bring me 10 eggshells and we'll give you one more ticket. And so there were players who got 10 extra tickets because they wanted it. They ran, they hard, and they pushed. So it was rewarded more. You play to win and not pay to win, right? Like
That's
the more
awesome.
they play, the better their chance of getting better prizes. And so, it was also our last day. We were all a little bit smoked at that point, but I'm like, leave it all out in the field, push my body to the absolute limits. I pushed as hard as I could, ran as hard as I could, shot as fast as I could, slid, tumbled, had a great time. So again, particularly these guys were covering me from longer distances, but further up than I was used to. And so I was able to make moves that I'm normally only able to in very, very lucky days. And I saw Dan up there. He's like, Matt, I got the objective. Okay, bye. Matt, I got this. I was like, okay, bye. He's like just from like launching himself across the field. And he used the AAP and my AK for some of that
and
day.
the M4.
And my M4 for some of that day. He went through all my guns I brought. And tried them all out. Had great
AAPs, actually.
yeah, both of my AAPs. And he just tearing across the field. And these guys, every time I saw, like, I was going towards somebody, I saw them come out and, like, go to shoot at me, they would be like, oh, hit. And I'd be like, and then I'd turn around and it'd be like Glick or Jason back there, like, got your back, dude. Like the guy in Billy Madison, right?
Yeah.
So it was fantastic. There was not a golden moment for me because literally from the moment I woke up that day to the time I went to bed, everything went well. Everything went perfectly. Everything was everything I could have hoped for the event.
That's awesome.
Including, sorry, I'm going to cut you off one more time.
Yeah.
Just at the end of the day, we did the raffle, and the very last prize, the rifle that we were giving out, went to the very youngest player on the field who had borrowed a brother's gun to play. He couldn't have been older than 8. He's like, let's go! And he gets it, and he's like, Dad, I have my own gun. We can come back. Oh, he's like, oh, dude, I couldn't have rigged it better, right?
Yeah.
Dude, in the moment, I wondered if it had been rigged somehow. No, it wasn't, to be clear, but in the moment, it was just so perfect. I was like, I was venting gas mags off to the side, half listening, and I'm like, there's no way. That kid is the youngest dude at the field, wins the grand prize in the raffle. Like,
it's hard to be like, even if you're holding a raffle ticket, like it's almost impossible to be mad at that, right? You're just like, yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh no! Everyone was hyped for him. Everyone was just cheering him on. Like, hell yeah!
And
that's
to be
awesome.
fair, I liked the Easter egg hunt because it seemed to me like most of us were just out there trying to play. Like I was out there trying to play. I didn't really care that much about getting like candy or whatever, right? But like all the kids were like genuinely just like super hyped up. They're out there
Yeah.
getting eggs the whole day. They'd come back to the area and be like, "Yo, I got 20 eggs. I'm gonna go get raffle tickets." I'm like, "Hey man, that's awesome."
They had like little
yeah.
side pools
Yeah.
going. I'm hearing kids like, "I've got a quarter if you'll give me like
A Jolly Rancher.
Like trading their goodies for the other kids.
Yeah, I'll take like a 90% melted Hershey's chocolate for. We learned why M&Ms were invented very
Right, yeah,
quickly.
no.
Yeah.
To be clear, I filled my eggs with toys and change
Yeah.
Yeah.
and free tickets. The guys who helped me filled theirs with chocolate, and we set the first one on a barrier. And I went, yeah. And they're like, "Do you think that was a good idea, filling those with candy?" I'm like, "I don't think it was. No."
The Jolly Ranchers were fun.
The Jolly Ranchers were good.
Jolly
Yeah.
Ranchers are S plus
Maybe,
for Easter
maybe
egg.
next year, water and electrolyte tablets.
Yeah, just chewable salt tablets. Just,
Break
just
them
salt
up.
sticks in every single egg. Yeah.
I love this though, because I think, Dan, you raised a really great point, which is like, you might not care about like the candy or whatever, but you've got all these other players who are younger who are like all in, and like Airsoft can be both. Like, I think a lot of times we think about how Airsoft has to be this super serious, like, you know, we're LARPing, we're doing all this kind of stuff, we're spending $6,000 on nods and all this kind of stuff. And to a certain extent, like I thought I'm talking about Jordan, where we sometimes like push all that to one side, and in doing that we sort of forget about these other people who might actually, and especially I think for younger people who are like, ultimately they're going to be the ones we want to keep playing Airsoft with in the future, right? Like, if we can get them hooked and they find it interesting and they find it less intimidating, because it's like, yeah, it was Airsoft, but like we were doing Easter egg hunts, so like that's cool. Like, I really like that. I think that that's a really fun way to approach something and keep it fun. And I think, you know, it's fun for us as well watching that happen. Like, even if we're not the ones going like, and Dan, again, you said this, like, you're not excited for getting the eggs yourself, but a kid comes up to you, he's like, "Oh, I got 10 eggs." You're like, "Cool, man, I'm stoked for you. Like, way to go." Right? That's adding too, right? So I'm really stoked to hear about that. What was, for those of you who've never played, so for Jordan, Jason, Dan, APA, what was that like? We've heard Matt's biased review. How did you guys find that field, like, and especially in comparison to, I guess, game? It's probably closer to GamePod than it is CZ, right?
Yeah. You can go for it. Jason?
Yeah. Unlike any field I've played at before, like most. Yeah, no, there was nothing to relate it to. They ran a really tight ship in a good way. They did not mess around with like letting you go, smoke off the field for an hour between matches. They were running like clockwork.
Mm-hmm.
Also given a bit of mercy to, that it was hot as frig out. So a rep did tell me they were being a little more lenient to let us get water and stuff. But no, they ran a tight ship. They kept the games going. They had the refs were doing their jobs. Not that anyone was super acting out, but they had ref towers up and stuff. Refs were like on freaking walkie-talkies and stuff. Just really, really well coordinated. The safe zone, safe zone had gazebos up to give you some shade and whatnot. Really well run, and the field itself is dope. Like it's like outdoor indoor, right? Because it's outdoor.
It's outdoor CQB,
and it was basically high noon. For us Northerners, like that was the absolute death ray beating down on you. But then it plays like it's indoor because it's just like a field of kill houses. Well, there is one building called the kill houses, but it's just plywood buildings everywhere. It was incomparable. Nothing like I have ever seen. It was awesome, and it smoked me. I mean, I was in safe zone pretty early in the day and thought I was going to be able to recover to play another game, and I was thinking, no, I'm fine. I'm just sleepy. No, I'm really sleepy. I'm sleepy like I could have the best dream in the world. And then I kind of locked eyes with Colin and was like, dude, I'm about to drop car AC, let's go now. And anyway, I'll give it off to someone else. I did recover.
No, I think Zippy makes a good point that I wanted to talk about too. They had 3 calls So the first one would be like the first call for everybody to be like, all right, game's going to start up in a couple of minutes. Then they'd have a second call, which was like, all right, if you haven't already started getting ready, you better start getting ready now. And then they had the third call, which was the final call in between each game, which was, you better be ready, come up to the safe zone starting area, like the staging area, so to speak, and then go through the rules. So it was like, to Zippy's point, a very tight ship was run in order to keep the games flowing, which was great, especially when we came from 10-minute games with 30 to 45 minutes in between from the day prior to that, which, as everybody knows, any airsoft field that does that, it sucks to go to. Because you go there for 8 hours of your day and you play for less than 2 hours sometimes, and that's horrible. Like, that really, really sucks. And it's not enjoyable when that stuff happens. So being able to be like on top of it and quick was awesome, while also still having enough time in between. The closest thing I could compare that field to, and Dan brought this up, there's a field in Massachusetts called Advanced Action Sports, and it's an outdoor CQB field as well. But you could fit like 6 of those fields into this one field. It was like that field, but multiplied by like 5 or 6 times. So it had the same type of feel, that outdoor CQB, where there was long range shots that you were putting down on people, while also all of a sudden you're inside, 10-foot to 5-foot engagement CQB that is like brutal. You round a corner and there's a guy holding the angle, or you come in through a door and there's 3 people watching you as you come in, grenades are going off, all that stuff. They had elevation as well. They had some trailers that were raised up with some windows, which was fantastic. They overall just had good lanes. I didn't think that there was too much I disliked about the full field. When they segmented it and we played part fields, I felt a little restricted, because then it's like you get rid of the flanking avenues that you used to have before, and you just have to walk forward at people the whole time. But
Yeah.
overall, the field itself was wide enough and long enough in its standard configuration that you kind of had an endless amount of places you could go. And if you were getting particularly crushed on one angle, like, you could always take it from a different side. And you had plenty of room to work with people as well. It was a lot of fun. It was definitely my favorite field that I played at during this whole trip.
What was the most notable moment at that field for you guys? Like, gameplay wise?
You go, Dan. Go ahead.
Won the last game, I think. There's like a big building in the center of the field called Kill House. It's just like, it's sort of like an almost open, but there's like a bunch of walls segmenting it off with like windows on all 4 sides, and kind of just like posting up in there and like shooting dudes who are trying to run in and get like control of the center of the field, right? Because placed smack dab in the center with windows on all 4 sides, you can shoot out basically across the whole field from there. So that was kind of fun playing that. Got shot a lot from in there because 4 windows on all 4 sides means it's easy to shoot in. It's also easy to shoot out. But that was cool. That was the only time I got to go in there the whole day, because earlier in the day, basically, it was just like whoever rushed Kill House first just got it, right? Like, it's really hard to retake. That was cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cover in Kill House that's like actually tall enough for you to get behind. So even if I'm hucking 2 or 3 grenades in the door, it doesn't really always peel everybody out.
Yeah. And there's so many corners.
Yeah.
There's so many corners and segments in Kill House that even when you go in, it's like you walk into the main door and then there's like 2 deep corners, so like your left and right, that you have to pick one. And if you pick the wrong one, you're going to get shot from the other one.
You can play some really fun, like 4-man 2-on-2s just inside Kill House.
Yeah, like true speedballs. Kill House, I wish there was more of those on the field. Like, the closest thing you had was the octagons that were out on either sides of the Kill House. And those were really cool too, but Kill House is like, it's like a bigger area that has the building, one continuous building around it. So it gives you more than like, all right, there's 2 doorways and a window. It's like, all right, there's multiple,
Like,
multiple hallways.
In the middle of the field, there's a tiny maze.
Essentially, is what it felt like.
It was a maze.
Yeah, it was a cool spot. It was a cool spot to be.
So we've talked about the airsoft portion, but now I want to talk about the food portion, the camaraderie portion, the thing that makes this event so, in my opinion, so special. The fact that, it's a group of people coming together like we did at Iron Horse, but even more special because Matt's hosting you, right? You're staying at Matt's house. You're eating Matt's cooking. You're eating Matt's mom's cooking. Like you said, she was the MVP all weekend.
She was. Shout out
That
to Grant. Yeah.
that is a really crazy experience. I think for most people who partake in any sort of organized sport, airsoft or not, that's not a very typical experience, but it's one that really sounds very special, right? And so for you guys, like, I'd love to hear a little bit more from you about what that was like, you know, like staying at somebody's house who you met once before, basically, right?
Do you want to start, Dan?
It was nerve wracking at first, getting off the BART and being like, I'm gonna be living in this guy's house for the next 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
But Matt and his mother were really, really, really kind and welcoming. And by like the first night, I was like, okay, this is home. Like this, you guys literally made me feel like this is my home, right? Which was just like, yeah, I can't say enough words of praise. And like this is the first time for me. Like usually when I play multiple day airsoft events, I just sleep in a tent because like these guys get hotels. I can't. I'm a student. I can't afford to sleep in a hotel when I'm playing airsoft.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was like getting off the field at the end of the day and coming home and just like BSing with the boys was like, and having like nice. You guys like. It was really nice. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with Dan. So I got off the BART, right? And really, Matt and I have mostly interacted via Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we went to Iron Horse, since we had the split houses, I didn't really interact with Matt a super huge amount of times. It was mostly like on the field, and then we were at Todd's house when we were just doing like the team mingling things. But we didn't get like a lot of time to actually hang out and talk. And this weekend, that's all this was.
Yeah.
Really. Like I got, Zippy. I didn't really get to talk to Zippy much. Like Dan, I played with a bunch of times locally, so like we know each other, right? But like Colin, I didn't get to talk to like at all at Iron Horse because he didn't talk very much. But I got to actually talk to him and be here with him. I slept in Matt's bed since Wednesday. Quite literally, right behind me. His room was my room. His shower was my shower. Like all of his stuff was mine, and it was amazing. The first night we showed up, we're outside. We're hanging out. The second night shows up. All of the other guys show up. We got Joe, Colin, Jacob arriving in the car. We're all outside by the fire, just hanging out while they arrive. And Phil, you've seen it in the picture, the one with me and Matt with the fire, and we're throwing up the peace signs, and he's waving. That was quite literally as they were pulling in.
Like
Colin pulled
up
up his camera.
Passenger window.
Yeah, and that was like their first like welcome to the Thunderdome. Like this is what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
I can't say enough kind things. It takes a true, nice, kind-hearted person to one, welcome somebody into your home. Two, to give them all of the things that they would ever need at any given time. We didn't have to prep anything besides our gear.
Yeah. I didn't have to do that.
Dan showed up with his jeans and a t-shirt and played airsoft for a whole weekend.
Plenty of times I had a random bitter Bob that was missing. I was like, Matt, have you seen such and such? Oh yeah, here it's in my pocket.
Yeah, Matt just like had it.
How?
Like we literally eliminated all of like the preparation that goes around the consumables and the care of airsoft, which is like the food and the water and like the travel. All of that stuff was completely negated. And it's because Matt opened up his home to us. Truly, his home was our home for this entire period of time. And Graham, I can't say enough nice things about Graham. Graham was making us food, more food than we'd ever need to eat all the time. Serving us food, doing laundry for us, just overall being like the best mom that you could have for a week period in a house that you don't know when you're going to be back to again. It was the most amazing experience, and I got to be closer with every single person here. Every single person I got to actually speak with and talk to and just live with for a period of time. And it was great, man. That was the experience. The real experience of Get Smoked was surely the friends that you made along the way.
Yeah.
In this case.
And especially like where you are getting smoked. I mean, you talked about, how physically demanding it is. Having that fallback on like Dan, you were saying, like not sleeping in a tent, coming back to a home where you have food like ready to go. Like you're not. I remember when we were at Iron Horse one night, we were like desperately trying to find food, and everything was closed, and there was no food in the house, and Nick was just about to have a friggin' meltdown trying to make ramen from a gas station, and it fell in the sink and all this kind of like all this struggle. And you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. Like your Matt's mom and Matt made sure that you guys were taken care of. And I think it speaks volumes to the kind of person that they are 100%, but also that's kind of what we want, right? Like these are the experiences that we want to create for ourselves. Like you guys are friends. You're my friends, right? And like, how do we hang out as friends? Just like that. That's what we want to do. So I'm super thrilled. And you got to eat all the food that Matt is always talking to us about on the Discord, which is a big thing too.
I have to come clean. I've thrown some shade, some shots before that I thought the food and drinks channel in the Discord was 90% Matt's takeout.
It is 90% Matt's
I
takeout.
solemnly swear to never talk shit on Matt's takeout or food ever again. Hand on my heart, right here, right now. I formally apologize because those tacos. Oh my goodness!
They were delicious.
The tacos, the Mongolian barbecue. It's not just hype. It's not. It's insane. It's so good. I'm so sorry that I ever.
You just this one time you will be forgiven. Just this one time.
Phil,
the food is so good, and
I think something that we need to make sure that we say is it takes a very specific person to invite somebody into their home.
Yes.
There are people that Matt quite literally had never met in person.
Yeah.
That were invited into his home, and there were 6 of us.
Yeah.
6 airsofters, dirty, sweaty, smelly, messy airsofters with all of our guns, all of our gear spread out. Joe had a whole yard sale in her room. Like there was everything.
Yeah, people
everywhere.
were showing up to the yard sale, looking
for deals. Like there were 6 of us, and Matt opened his home and made it work for all 6 of us to be here.
Yeah.
This wouldn't have been the same if we were in a hotel.
No.
This wouldn't have been the same if we didn't get to be in this same house. We woke up as a team, we played as a team, we came home and we went to sleep as a team every single day. And I mean, that's what this was all about, man. The whole event. It wouldn't have been the same without this, what we're doing right now.
This is evidence or a testament to why, I am, since meeting Matt on the Discord or in person at Iron Horse, I felt like Matt is like the model airsofter. Like if there had to be a model airsofter, it would either have to be Matt or maybe Phil might be more PR friendly.
Yeah, I do a little less gardening. I do a little less gardening. Am I right, Matt?
For keeping it a little more clean, PG rated, maybe Phil. But if we're gonna drop the gloves or whatever, Matt is the ultimate host. He is. This dude just wants to see people happy, and so he and his family, his mother, his daughter, so utterly, completely selfless to let. I'm just reiterating what Jordan said. We've thrown gear all around this house. We've been up till 3 or 4 in the morning saying some heinous jokes with some very loud laughter.
While him and his daughter are sleeping in his daughter's room. Because he gave me his bed.
I'm running the hot water for longer than I probably should have. I'm we owe so much. Not so much. We owe everything to this dude.
You planned this whole trip and it made it possible for us, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's so much, and everything that you guys are saying is so true. And I think just also being able to do the organization that comes along with that too, around talking to the fields and this is what I want to do, having the idea and executing on it. I think that is a big holdup for a lot of people. Lots of people have ideas. The question is, are you actually going to execute on it? Right? What are you going to do to actually make it happen? Right? And so exactly, like going out and getting sponsors, right? Finding people to, I don't know, send you grenades to raffle off, or a replica to rifle off. Like it's not like difficult, but someone's got to do it. Someone's got to put in the effort. Someone's got to talk to people and do all that kind of stuff. And, you did all that for the benefit of not just this crew, but I think, like you were saying, there's a young player who won the raffle, who's got a rifle now, who can play Airsoft, and other players you sent pictures of who won the grenades at the event and all this kind of stuff. Like all that matters, right? Matters.
Yeah.
I'll see myself out again. But seriously, I think that's the whole point of creating these types of spaces where we can welcome people. And it does definitely take a special breed of individual to say, hey, this is my house person I've never met before, come and stay here for 3 days or whatever, which is like it's awesome for you to do that. Not everyone would do that, and I think that deserves to be shouted out. But just even going through all these motions and making this possible, I think is just so cool. And I could not be more thrilled to have been remotely involved in all of this. I would have loved to be there. And maybe some other time in the future, that's something we can look at. But yeah, just absolutely just thrilled that you guys had a great time. And the food.
I can't thank these guys enough for coming out and making it such a great time. It was like the Magnificent Seven. Because yes, I did have my 6 guests, and then we went out and we had a great time. Bear played a couple of the games, but all 3 days it was just these guys, and they had all the reactions. When you give somebody a meal, you want the kind of reactions that I got. Like when you take them to your favorite places, you want them to shove the burger in their mouth and go, "This is amazing."
Yeah.
You want them to ask you to go back the next day and say, "All right, yeah, the other guys are gone. Let's go get some more tacos." Which happened this morning, right? Like Jordan's like, "What do you want to do today?" I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "Well, let's go get tacos again."
Chicharron, let's go.
We got some
Yeah, I got extra teacher. I got everybody a chicharron, and then a couple for myself. So I'm going to try to bring them back home to carry on. We'll see how that happens. We'll see how they stay. But no, we truly got to live what Matt lives. We got to experience what Matt wanted us to experience, and I feel like I got like a very personal, heartfelt tour of everything that he enjoys and wants us to experience. We even got to sit in the legendary garden, the beer garden, where he sits outside just chilling, sitting by the fire, eating s'mores with everybody. We got to meet Peanut, who's the real star of the show. Shout out to Peanut. We might not have shouted out Peanut. Peanut is the most adorable little dog that I have ever seen. And all he does is want to be happy and say hi to everybody. And that was the unofficial rule. Anytime you came into a room with Peanut, you said hi to Peanut every single time. And he loved it. We got to live with what Matt wanted us to see. And it's not something that I would throw away for anything. This weekend was amazing. I got to visit the West Coast for the first time, and I got to get hand-picked experience for what somebody picked out for us. And you put a lot of work into this, Matt. That calendar that you put up, it's a meme that it only says Airsoft on it, but that is truly like, it feels like you put all of your effort this year into this weekend.
Yeah.
And it's very obvious. Thank you.
Yeah. You are the local legend, Matt. You are the local legend.
This guy had a friggin' meal planner for us set up like days, how long in advance?
Forever.
For every meal that we would eat while we're out here. I'm like, damn, I thought we were gonna be eating like sink ramen or something. Like, no, that was awesome.
No, and there were dietary restrictions from some people in the group, and Graham accommodated them every single time. There were 3 variations of lasagna last night. The main lasagna, and then two like side quest lasagnas.
Yeah, and I had a side quest lasagna, and it wasn't like
a gross lasagna.
Yeah, it wasn't like, oh, we'll feed him some slop that's annoying. No, it's just like, hey, here's some of the best pasta in the world.
Hey,
here's the other best pasta in the world. Oh, another dietary restriction. Here's the third best pasta.
Like, hey, I don't eat cheese. That's fine. I'm gonna make you a pizza anyways. And somehow she makes a delicious non-cheese pizza.
Baked in a pizza oven in their backyard by the pool.
We quite literally watched it get pulled out. of the oven in the back, and we're eating it in 3 minutes. Like, it was amazing. It was fantastic.
I've said before that like it is a lot of money to travel. There's no way around that. But I do truly, honest to God, feel that dollar per dollar, my most worth out of Airsoft has been going to SRFL events. And this one, yeah.
It's because it's bigger than
Well,
the Airsoft, man.
Yeah,
It's
man.
bigger
Yeah.
than the Airsoft.
It's bigger. It's there's been 3 or 4 times this weekend that I either nearly cried or did cry, just tears of joy or emotional release at just hanging out with these dudes and letting stuff that breaks me down, usually day to day, just to be able to let it go and just have fun and eat
Yeah.
a metric shitload of food and Airsoft with the fellas, with Colin, with with Huck, with Jacob, like.
I could call out Colin, by the way, right? I don't know what gear he brought. He didn't put a gun on all weekend.
He didn't bring any gear
He
at all.
came out and just hung out with his camera.
He was the cameraman. His role was like war journalist.
And let me tell you, he's got a gift, bro. He took some of the best pictures I've ever seen, not just of us, but of anyone ever in like a war situation. I'm like looking at pictures of us. I'm like, there's a picture of Jason where he's standing there like, I am going to go like do counterterrorism stuff, or I'm going to like counter an insurgent, like or like Wolverines was what I said.
With
right?
a cute,
like
with
a
a
red
cute
dog.
cat bandana on his head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Dan, and he just looks so freaking fierce, right? And then there's like a great picture of Dan, like full sprint, like it looks like a catalog,
Like
ad.
tilted over, like a 90-degree angle to the ground.
It looks like an ad for AAPs, right? Like they'd be like driven to perform, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah. He made me look high speed in photos, which is crazy because I'm not photogenic whatsoever.
Yeah, you were so high speed. He was quite literally at like the Michael Jackson lean angle, like while he was running. Like it was a full tilt on the way to a door. Yeah.
And side note, it's that other photography thing about Colin is that he throws up blue steel all the time, like, and he doesn't do it on purpose. Like if he turns towards you, and I've tried to get pictures of him in a bad time, and I'll be like, I'm gonna get Colin. He'll just turn around and be like,
Every
Yeah.
single time.
Colin has the Chad stand.
The Mr.
I noticed this at Iron Horse, and I noticed it here. He has the Chad stand.
He responds to Chad if you
Yeah,
call him by
he-
name. Sometimes I've said Colin, he won't turn. Chad. And then head tilt.
Same
and then, yeah, like the head tilt, like the smile, eyebrow just enough, like yes, and you're like, oh, I'm so comfortable.
I didn't know you were chill like that. Yeah.
Chill guy.
So
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys,
so, yeah, I just wanted a special shout out to him because he didn't even play Airsoft. He just came out to record our experience.
and that's awesome. And I think, you talk about like SRFL events, and like I think that's what this is all about, right? At the end of the day, like Jordan, you said, it's bigger than the Airsoft, and it absolutely is true. I think that's been what it was like since the first one that we did, and that's what I really hope it's going to continue to be. Like there's I don't know what, it's not the opposite of FOMO, like the fear of missing out. It's just, I know that I missed out now having this conversation with you. There's no fear. It's like, this definitely did happen and I missed out on it. But I think one of the things that's really cool, and it sort of talks to what you guys were saying, is we have this community of people all over the world, right? We talk about the US because those are the two that we've done, right? But it could be Europe, right? It could be France, it could be Germany or whatever. We know people there in our communities who can, help each other have these kinds of experiences if that's what you want to do. So my advice to people listening is, if you're listening to this, be like, man, I really want to do that. You totally can. You just need to talk to the people who play Airsoft at the place you want to go to and figure out, okay, well, what would that look like? And most of the time they will likely be very happy to show you. They might not invite you into their house like Matt did, because that's a little much, but they'll be more than happy to let you have the same experience that they have all the time, right? So I think that's a really cool part of what we've built in this community, and I hope we continue that in the future as well, right? Well, I know we will, but that's not a hope. It's like it's gonna happen. So yeah,
It's an amazing compliment right there. A Canadian saying, "You're a little too kind, bud."
Yeah, a little too kind. Yeah.
And to push on, the legacy, we all signed the flag. We signed it with our new tour, so to speak, another
Yeah.
event that we experienced.
Yeah.
So you might see our name on there a couple of times, and it's coming with me back home, and it's going to be ready for Midsummer Nightmare
That's
this year.
awesome.
So
I'm not gonna make Midsummer Nightmare, but like I will be with you guys in spirit because like those events are what we live for, right? That's the airsoft dream, is to go together to be friends and go to cool new experiences.
Yeah. Well, couldn't have said it better myself. Guys, thank you so much for being on with me. I know you guys got to get some travel to get to, I'm sure. So thank you so much for listening, everyone. Again, if you want to be part of this community, all you have to do is join us on the Discord and get to yapping, and we'll get to playing Airsoft with you. But until then, that's all we've got for you this week. Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk to you next week.